Well, LeBron James, both after games, 2 times in the last week or so, went to the podium after a game and said things that didn't make sense to me. It was kind of uncharacteristic for LeBron. Let's break LeBron down, and then we'll get into the things that he said. LeBron is very strategic. And why is that so? I think LeBron has an incredible team around him. When you talk about guys like Rich Paul and Maverick Carter, I don't know how much you guys have deep dived into those brothers and their past. These are very sharp minds, sharp thinkers. And I'm sure LeBron's got some other people on the team that are equally as sharp. LeBron, though, I don't think, and obviously I know LeBron's a smart guy, I don't think he's the on-your-feet smart thinker like those gentlemen are. I think he works great in a system. Ironically, on the court, he is the system. But I think with his business and everything, LeBron is great at planning things and working it out, strategic, thinking everything through with a team. So when you catch him kind of off guard, asking him questions, sometimes LeBron goes to the podium and says some things that'll leave your head scratching, right? Not as cerebral as a Chris Paul, as a Kobe Bryant was, or definitely not like a Michael Jordan was, right? When those gentlemen spoke, you could tell they thought through every possible way this could go wrong. And you can catch LeBron off guard oftentimes, and you can kind of tell when he hadn't had time to talk with his team about said thing. So I think 2 times in the last week and some change, the media caught LeBron off guard. The one that was most recent was LeBron James going to the podium and saying he doesn't think he'll ever be 100% again in his career. And that one just threw me all off. Like, I've never heard LeBron speak of his health like that. Like, I've never heard him speak of his body like that. We know what LeBron puts in, reportedly $1 million a year into his body. He will go down as the greatest in-shape superstar athlete. Like, the way this man has been able to hold up over time, it's literally him and Tom Brady in that conversation. To be able to do with the things that they've done, it's unbelievable. But part of that ball game and part of the physical journey that LeBron's been on is also the mental component of it. When LeBron comes down the lane, guys get the heck out of the way, even to this day. 17, 18 years later. When you start putting those little tokens and those thoughts in the back of people's minds, like, yo, I know if I nick him, he'll fall. I know he's human now. When you start putting that in the back of people's minds, they treat you as such. And they no longer treat you as one of the greatest in-game dunkers of all time, one of the greatest to ever play this game. So when he said, I don't think I'll ever be 100%, I'm almost looking at that as like he was trying to remove a little bit of expectation of himself and the Los Angeles Lakers for the remainder of the season. Keep in mind, the Lakers are not playing their best ball as of right now. The Anthony Davis component, which we're going to get to here in a second. LeBron James, Drummond trying to work all these parts in and defend your championship in the process. As multiple guys been out with injuries, it's tough. And I wonder, was LeBron trying to take a little bit of onus and pressure off himself by letting it be known that I'm not 100%. I'll never be 100% in my life. Like playing basketball. Like, that's what he said. I was like, why would you say something like that? If you're saying not for the remainder of the season, I get it. But he's like, yo, I'll never be back to 100%. You could tell this injury really took a toll on him. So the other thing Bron said that kind of threw me off a little bit was he called out the play-in format with the NBA playoffs this year. I like the play-in format. What it's doing is keeping teams around the 10th or 11th seed out east and out west. It's keeping them competitive. We're only a couple weeks left in the season here. Around this point, teams are losing games trying to get into draft lottery positioning, right? But because we got that 7 through 10 play-in, with the 7th getting and 8th seeds getting double buys, you know, we're seeing teams in that 9th, 10th, 11th spot still compete hard. And I like that, right? I really like that. I really think it's creating, like look at the Washington Wizards. One of the reasons why they've been able to get hot as of late It's because they know they can make the playoffs. And when you got somebody like Russell Westbrook and Bradley Beal, in their mind, they're thinking, if we get in the dance, I don't know. If I'm the Wizards, it's like, yo, if we could catch the Bucks in the first round, we believe we could beat the Bucks in the first round if they're the 1 and we're the 8. Or Philly, we believe we can go at Philly. If it's the Miami Heat, you're telling me they won't have the confidence to go against the Philadelphia 76ers and beat them in the first round? You know they'll have it. Out West, if it's Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors, an 8 seed against the Utah Jazz at number 1, Mitchell's hurt or limping into the playoffs, you're telling me the Warriors won't be dangerous? Luka Doncic and the Mavs at 7 or 8? You're telling me that won't be dangerous? The Lakers at 7 or 8? That would be dangerous, especially with teams like Phoenix and Utah at 1 and 2, teams that have not had long runs together in the postseason. So I like the play-in. LeBron does not. He said whoever came up with this should be fired. I disagree with that. But LeBron's words do hold weight. So when I couple up the fact that he said he'll never be 100% again, and when I add in the fact that LeBron also called out the play-in format, here's what I believe is happening with LeBron James right now. He's frustrated. He's frustrated. And I don't think it's necessarily he's frustrated with just his body. I think LeBron James is frustrated with Anthony Davis. And I came on my platforms a few weeks ago, and I did a video saying I felt like Anthony Davis failed LeBron James this year. And 3-4 weeks later, I still stand on that. I think LeBron expected Anthony Davis to take the torch. We know LeBron doesn't just want to pass the torch. I thought AD was going to come into this year and take it. Understand who I am. I've watched every dribble of the Lakers last year. I can't say that this year. But last year, I watched every dribble of the Lakers last year. And it was one of my favorite teams to watch. I believe that Anthony Davis was the most important Laker last year. I actually thought he had a good chance of being the MVP of the league. He just played with LeBron. And LeBron was healthy last year, and AD was moderately healthy last year. So that's why he didn't win the award. But I thought AD, if Giannis was won an MVP vote and Defensive Player of the Year, I thought AD should have been right behind him at 1A in both. Especially with LeBron being 2 in MVP voting. In my world, AD was the most important Laker last year. If you think LeBron was better offensively than AD was last year, I'll disagree, but I understand the argument. I do understand it. So it was close, right? Maybe LeBron was that much better than AD on offense last year. But defensively, LeBron was awful. Now, LeBron's been playing some really good defense this year before the injury. Not last year, though. He wasn't good defensively up until the bubble. He was not. AD was incredible defensively for the Lakers, oftentimes carrying that team. Well, this year, there's no question about it. When LeBron was there, he was clearly the best player offensively, and he's locked back in defensively. And the Lakers were pretty much top 2 in defense all year this year, and Anthony Davis missed most of it. So obviously there's a culture with Frank Vogel in LA. I can't argue that AD's been the 3rd or 4th best Laker this year. And I think it's starting to weigh on LeBron. I think he's upset with AD. And I think he's, instead of just saying, yo, I probably won't be 100% this year, or I hate the fact that my team's in the play-in situation. Because when you say that you don't like the play-in format and that whoever created it should be fired, remember, just a year ago, LeBron said he was in favor of the play-in format. But the Lakers were like top 2 out west then. But this year, Lakers obviously haven't had the season that they wanted to have. Injuries have taken over with COVID and the bubble from last year. You're playing every other night, which is taxing on the body. A lot of injuries, a lot of sprained ankles around the league. A lot of soreness around the league right now at this point with the playoffs near. It comes across as LeBron's only saying he doesn't like the play-in format because the Lakers are around the place where they could be in it. It's almost like the pot calling the kettle black, the little boy who cried wolf. It was all cool when your team was not even close to it. It was a great idea for the NBA. But now when you're the team that might have to work your way into the playoffs, I don't like that. Whoever came up with that should be fired, right? So I do believe LeBron's comments come from a place of catching him off guard. The injury question, it feels like he didn't think that one through. And in the play-in format question, I don't think he thought that one through either. But I do think these are kind of like things that he's just using as he's using it as deflectors from the main thing, which is I think he's upset at Anthony Davis. And I do believe Anthony Davis, I mean, he came into this season. If it was about AD being hurt every other night, I get it. But, AD's had one major injury. But before then, AD just wasn't making shots. And I know if Anthony Davis doesn't do anything else when he goes to the gym, he's putting up shots, right? If he ain't working out, if he ain't in the post, we know he's getting up jump shots. And the fact that he ain't making that jumper consistently, it tells me something. It tells me he probably ain't as focused as he's been in years past. You think Anthony Davis would get away with the season that he's having this year in L.A., a couple years ago back in New Orleans? Come on now. They'll be tearing him up in the media every day and night. Them beat writers would be having a field day if he was playing the way that he's playing right now in L.A. It gets kind of put on the back burner because he plays next to LeBron, and every time LeBron does something wrong, if he sneezes the wrong way, he's the headline. So AD can kind of hide a little bit. I just feel like Anthony Davis didn't come into this season with the format of I'm the best in the world. I'm going to show y'all I'm the best in the world. I didn't get that, at least. I have not felt that. He's regressed. Many would argue that Montrezl Harrell is a more important Laker so far this year. Dennis Schroeder has been more important. Like it should not be that way. This is supposed to be Anthony Davis's year to take that reign, and we haven't seen that one bit. And I do believe this part of it closing out here. LeBron had to rush his way back. It was a 4 to 6 week injury. LeBron was closer to 6 weeks. He probably should have stayed out 8 weeks. But he felt like he had to rush back because the Lakers were slumping. Anthony Davis was there, but the team was still losing. And I think LeBron's like, damn, AD, big fella, you can't give me 2 weeks? Like, you in your prime. You're 27, 28 years old, Anthony Davis. Like, you can't give me a couple. Can you give us 3 games this week? Can you get us 3 dubs this week? We need 3 dubs. Can you go get us a dub? Can you go get us a couple dubs? And I believe LeBron's kind of been shocked. Remember, the Lakers went to war to bring in Anthony Davis. Magic Johnson got fired over all this, or excuse me, he said he ain't going to be here. He quit over this. The Pelicans GM got fired over it. A lot went into getting AD. This is LeBron's last superstar that he's going to be attached to at this level for all intents and purposes. So he needs it. LeBron is chasing Michael. He's chasing 5 and 6 rings. It all depends on if Anthony Davis is the best version of himself. We see what's going on in Brooklyn. We see what's going on in Philly. We see what Phoenix got brewing, and Utah's coming. He needs AD to be AD to win more championships. And I don't think LeBron felt like he got the best version of Anthony Davis this year. Catch full new episodes of FERRO's music-based platform every day only on YouTube at It's Mr.Taliaferro. You can also find clips, updates, giveaways, and more on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, also at It's Mr.Taliaferro. For all basketball fans, make sure you tune in to FERRO's daily highlights, reports, and commentary on YouTube at HoopsFERRO, and even more updates on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at HoopsFERRO as well.